The Environmental Protection Agency is on a mission to get forest operators to comply with Section 14 of the Environmental Act. As of December 2018, officials from the agency have been traveling around the country, holding workshops to get all forest operators, large and small, on board with best practices in order to mitigate any negative impact on the environment that may result from their actions. So far, stakeholders in Regions 1, 2, 9, and 10 have profited from these outreaches. On this InfoHub Extended, we meet some of the beneficiaries.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
It is safe for me to say that this information that was disseminated to us throughout the course of the session has been more or less very useful to me. I think now that there are so many changes within the forest sector, it is important for us to be able to, one, take heed to all these adaptations and changes that that are coming our way, especially given the fact that the EU FLEC agreement has been signed. I think this will help us to better organize ourselves and be able to operate in a more effective and efficient manner, thus lending to the success of the implementation of the EU FLEC agreement.
That was Lyndon Duncan, a forest operator from the Upper Demerara Berbice region who participated in one of the workshops. The forest operators were informed on the European Union Forest Law Enforcement, Governance and Trade Agreement with Guyana to protect the environment. The sum of US $104,000 was approved by the EU for that purpose.
Daddy! The workshops are aimed at sensitizing those utilizing the forest on the need to obtain an environmental authorization from the EPA.
The EPA is working assiduously to have all forest operators authorized in keeping with Section 14 of the Environmental Act. The Act states that before the harvesting and utilizing of forest resources, an operator must first seek permission from the Environmental Protection Agency. This means they must ensure they have an environmental authorization before utilizing forest resources, which can only be acquired from the EPA. Without an environmental authorization, forest operators would be in default. During the workshop, operators were given an in-depth presentation which explained the environmental authorization, why it is important to have one, where to apply for one, and how to fill out the requisite forms. Leading that exercise was EPA's Environmental Officer, Karen Small, who explains what exactly is an environmental authorization.
The environmental authorization is a legal document. That environmental authorization is to advise or to guide, in this case, the loggers on best environmental practices, so as to mitigate negative impacts on the environment as a result of their activities.
Small highlights the gravity for forest operators acquiring the authorization.
The environmental authorization should be first development consent. It means before you get authorization from any other government body, you need an environmental authorization. And so that is why we're here today, to say that to the loggers that you need an environmental authorization. It is by law.
According to the environmental officer, it is a very comprehensive document that not only deals with the protection of the environment, but also people. It looks at the noise limit at which operators should work under, impacts to soil, and mitigating air pollution. The environmental authorization application process, US $50, and once approved, US $100 per year, or a maximum environmental authorization at $500 US for 5 years. Benefits of the permit includes supporting Guyana's green vision, ensuring sustainability, increasing productivity, increases revenue, and it also improves competitiveness. Aside from the theoretical aspect of the session, they were also taken to a nearby sawmill for a first-hand view on how to protect themselves and the environment. This outdoor session included officers from the EPA discussing in detail the need for safety gear, noise management regulations, air quality regulations, and waste management, among others. The session was an enlightening one for every single forest operator who participated in the workshops.
Forest operators Naomi Smith and Celine Thomas, among others, share how informative the workshop was for them.
I knew it was necessary for things like gas stations and so on, but I never really saw a connection between environmental authorization and the forest operations. So today I was informed about that, and very clearly.
It's beneficial on our side, and we're grateful for that because, you know, we can go down, even if we thought it was the right way, now we know for sure what is right, what is wrong, what we should and should not do, right? So I think, yes, it's a plus to them, and we're going to try our best to do what is right and to work with them hand in hand, hoping that we can make and we can maintain a good environment for everybody.
Learning today more about the way to go is a plus for us, so that we could take back to our community and enlighten our villagers that what they need to do and do it from now on.
I'm thankful for the education that they have set forth, for concessionaires, small and big, in larger scales, and where you can obtain license, through the range of the process of GFC and all the agencies.
It's really it's beneficial to the village because I never hear about the authorization before, and I'm very thankful for it. At least, people could come out and tell you going on with the authorization and so on, how you could go about doing it.
To do with the environment, it is very important, and we see it as an essential opportunity and timely that that this part of the EPA EA is very important, and it contributes a lot to what we can do to improve our environment.
For me, it's realizing that everything around you has its positive or negative, which is either being used or misused or abused. And in doing so, we can do so much damage to our environment, and it really needs to take it serious on the things we do every day and we take for granted.
Today, it was really interesting of learning new things like the reading of GPS, the noise meter, and using of the waste management and the waste hazard and other different things. So, and it was also good in having young people, women here attending.
As for Lyndon Duncan, he intends to get authorized as early as possible and cites the benefits that may come from following suit.
In the event of us having the opportunity of tapping in on any market that will eventually lead to the European Union, would be able to, we'll be able to have that free flow with all the necessary certification and all the other things.
Senior Environmental Officer Small said that one of the goals of the workshop was to get women involved and youths. Fortunately, the women turned out in their numbers, and in some cases, women more than men. In Region 9, students from the Bena Hill Institute participated in the workshop and were very vocal in asking questions to get clarity. Helen Lawrence, a tourism student, and Gaiman Edward, a forestry student, commended the efforts of the EPA.
Everybody should be aware of it, and like NGOs and who want to go into the forestry sector. I know a lot of people are interested in it, but they don't know the steps to take it. So I strongly agree with what they're doing here at BDL now. Yeah.
Pertaining to the environment, I think it's good because like in the tourism sector in which I am interested, I like the fact that they do it correctly, where they would like reduce like pollution and those things, and it wouldn't affect the wildlife. That's from me.
The young people from Region 10 also hailed the workshop.
It was great. It was educational, especially for us the youths, because probably in the future we might be able to open a business, or we can even educate others or elders, because they don't know about this EPA, most of them. So it was helpful and it will benefit us.
Small expressed her delight with the integral involvement of the students.
It was a pleasure for us because remember, they are the future generation and they're also forestry students. So it was even a better opportunity for us as we were looking at forest operators to give them an opportunity to build their capacity so they can carry on in our absence what we would have taught them to.
Senior Environmental Officer Collis Primo, who manned the workshop in Region 2, described it as very fruitful.
It was a fruitful workshop, in my opinion. They would have learned a lot in terms of the application requirements, and going through the application with them was very beneficial in terms of bringing them up to speed in what was required in terms of documentation, what is required in terms of the questions asked, and so they're in a better position to provide the information that the agency needs in terms of the application process, so that we could reach our requirements as it relates to developing a permit, and better able to guide them as to what they need to implement in terms of environmental safeguards.
Those who participated said that the workshops were very straightforward and that the EPA officers delivered the message clearly.
I'm clear because the language is very clear and specific, and I think it was in detail, and I've grasped that. And because this is not my first sitting at a workshop, but it was very good. The facilitators were up to standard, and I think they did a very good job.
I think it's kind of straightforward. You just have to follow the guidelines, and like they said, you can get in contact with them. So it's good that we have technology. So if we have doubts about the application, you can give them a ring and probably ask for more explanation, and so it would be easy to get the application full up.
Throughout 2019, the EPA will be conducting similar workshops countrywide to encourage more forest operators to be authorized as soon as possible in order to be in compliance with Section 14 of the Environmental Act. This brings us to the end of another InfoHub Extended. Thanks for watching.